Hey guys, welcome back to Cam's Corner 2.0. I'm your host as always, Camden Riviere. We're in the middle of our 4-part series on volleys, and we're back today for part 3. So far, we've talked about volleys defending the galleries, and we've talked about volleys defending the grill tambour. The progression today now is that we're going to talk about volleys defending the dade-on, right? So we've built up our kind of basics, right? We've got those small steps down that are required to make good solid contact with our volleys. And now we're going to talk about that ball that's coming in either a little bit more aggressively or over a larger distance and how we're going to get that back. The first thing that we're going to talk about is our preparation for this shot. It's a little bit different than when you're playing the net or you're playing in front of the tambour when you're expecting nothing but a volley. Here in the middle of the court on the service end, we have to be ready for any shot. It could be a ground stroke, it could be a volley, it could be a main ball dade-on, it could be anything. So we have to be in our ready position. Our ready position is where we should be anywhere on the court, but especially here. With that racket up, elevated, our feet spread, ready to take that split step and move in either direction, high or low, wherever we need to go. So often we get stuck with our racket down, right, or our feet together. We're not in position. So then once we're not in position, then we have to use these big movements to get into position. And that means that we're more likely to have a big swing coming through, right? If I have to elevate that racket all the way up, I'm more likely to swing through because I've got that momentum. By being in our ready position with our racket up, all we have to do is turn our shoulders and step in, and our racket is already in position for our swing. All right, so when that ball comes in aggressively towards the dade-on and we need to volley it, we don't actually want to swing any harder than we normally would. We don't want to swing any harder than we did on the volleys at the net or the volleys at the tambour because we want to use the momentum and pace that the ball already has to hit it back. We actually just want to focus even harder on making sure we make contact with the middle of the strings because that is what's going to make the ball go over. So what we want to do is position ourselves in our ready position, and we're going to use the backhand for a righty as our first example. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn, we're going to step towards that ball yet again, right? We still have that racket up and ready, and you'll notice the only difference between my motion here and my motion at the net is that I actually want to finish even higher than I was before. At the net, we were finishing straight forward, that racket face straight across, a straight line. This way, I actually want to finish almost with the racket face a little bit more open to make sure that that ball has the right angle to go back over the net. Okay? Same thing applies on the forehand. We turn, we're making sure that our shoulders are sideways now on this forehand side, right? Stepping across, and we're finishing racket up, shoulders still facing sideways. That way we keep our strength through our shot. Yet again, our contact points are within our body, almost deep in our stance on our forehand, with the racket head finishing nice and high. And with our backhand, we want our contact right on our front shoulder, our right shoulder, and racket staying nice and high through our shot. Yet again, with both of these, we want to be aiming towards the tambour grill area. And as you go through this progression and you're starting to think about where that ball's landing, I want you to focus on getting that first bounce of the ball on the yellow line. And the reason for that is the fault line on the hazard end is because that will ensure that that ball does not get to the back wall. In theory, giving your opponent only one chance to get it back. All right, and that's the kind of control we want to start to get on those volleys. And I know that that's easier said than done, but it's something to start thinking about as we progress through and try and get a little bit better with our volleys. One follow-up to this is, because I get asked this question all the time, what about lobs that come in? The ball that's coming in aggressively is almost easier. You don't have time to think, you just react. You tend to do things right on your own because you don't have time to think it through. But when that ball's lobbed up and it's coming down and dropping in, we have so much time to think about it, people tend to make mistakes. The simplest way to deal with those ones is to A, focus on your basics, but B, remember that we're focused on hitting through the line of our shot every time, right? That racket's head staying elevated. If that ball's coming at a direct line to us in a force, we're making sure that racket face goes through the line of the ball to make sure we make contact with our strings. So if that ball's lobbing and coming in at a downward angle, we actually want to make sure that we swing back up through that angle, through that line of the ball. Yet again, making sure that we're putting the strings in the path of the ball for the optimum amount of time. And that's on both sides. We aren't reaching out, we aren't trying to pull that ball down or do anything like that. We're basically saying, wait for that ball to get to the strings, and we're hitting back up through the line of the ball. You never want to try and change the trajectory of a ball, swinging across its path, because what that does is that makes us much more likely to hit the frame, because we're basically saying if you hit it perfectly, you're going to hit the strings, but if you don't time it exactly right, you're either going to hit the bottom of your frame or the top of your frame. So by elevating that racket back up through the line of the ball, we're ensuring that the strings go through the line of the ball at all times, making it nearly impossible to mishit the ball. All right, so we're going to focus on that. Now I'm going to give you guys a few examples.